It goes without saying that this has been an incredibly tough term for millions of students around the country. The restrictions that have been imposed, the constant lockdowns have meant that uni life has been transformed dramatically. So I want to take a moment to just talk about my experience, reflect on the last term, and offer some insights of how the last few months have been, because really I have two main takeaways from this term. Firstly, that blended learning has without question been the best thing to come out of this pandemic, in my opinion. And also, if there was one word that I could use to describe the last term, it would probably be overwhelming. More on that in a moment. When it comes to blended learning and the switch to online lessons, this is something that I have lots of thoughts, and I'll probably save it for another video. But the key headline for me is that I have really enjoyed and embraced the switch to online learning. I'm not sure if it's my personality type or just being a lazy 21-year-old, but to be honest, having meetings with my lecturers via Microsoft Teams without having to leave my room is literally the best thing ever. How come no one thought this before? It's incredible. And most importantly, I don't think my academic performance has suffered. We've been learning exactly the same content as we would have done before, but just through a different medium. So that's all good. But I'll have much more to say about blended learning further down the line and the benefits of blended learning. Now, when it comes to my overall sense of how this term has gone, I like to use the term overwhelming. You see, being a final year student, it was always going to be tough. I mean, I've got lots of research to do for my dissertation, the workload is insane, with other modules, thinking about the next steps after uni, it was always going to be a challenge, right? But having all of that pressure within the context of a pandemic, it really does get to you. And it got to me in a way that I honestly didn't foresee happening. To put it bluntly, right, I genuinely believe that for most of this term, I simply just lost my mojo, really. I lost the energy and the general feel-good factor that I've genuinely been accustomed to having. Again, this isn't directly to do with actual work at uni. It's a lot, don't get me wrong. But it's not the reason for why I felt this way. Having thought this through quite a bit, I think the main reason why I felt this way was because there just didn't seem to be any sort of hope around the corner to aspire to. The thing is, right, when I first started university, I just come off the back of the most amazing year-long work experience where I practically did anything and everything. It was terrific. So heading into my first year, I had a lot of momentum and a desire to hit the ground running, not just with my degree, but also in gaining more work experience. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. I made a strong start academically and got myself a couple of jobs that year. So overall, I was feeling really, really good about where I was. I knew that there were opportunities out there, and no matter how hard it seemed to achieve them, there was always a goal in mind. It gave me a sense of hope and a sense of purpose. Then heading into second year, I was even more determined. This time, what were my main motivations? Well, the planning stages of my dissertation, scoring a summer internship, and continuing to enjoy uni life. And all the good stuff, friends, uni life, etc., was all around my studies, which was absolutely vital. But then, of course, partway through the year, not only were we faced with strike action, but right after that, the world just shut down. Now, bear in mind, I count myself as being one of the lucky ones during this pandemic. There are folks out there that have had it infinitely worse than I have. I did lose out on a couple of work opportunities back in the summer, and I didn't get to celebrate my 21st birthday in style the way I'd hoped, but other than that, I've been good this whole time. But for some reason, being back at uni this term has really just dampened any optimism that I used to have about the future. Work is obviously very overwhelming and requires most of my attention, but in the process, the other elements of life that I normally have alongside that have just completely vanished. Just totally gone. Since coming back to Leicester in late September, I've only met up properly with 4 of my mates from uni. 4. Think about that. In a 3-month period, I've only been able to meet up with 4 of my friends because of all the lockdowns we've had and social distancing requirements. Now imagine if you're a first year student, right? Stuck in your room, no chance of being able to mingle, you don't know anybody, no parties, no nights out, no social events at the uni, no chance of being able to mingle, not the ideal situation to be in at all. I also had to self-isolate for a period of time, which wasn't bad, but not something that I want to have to do ever again. And then there's the inevitable slowdown in the job market for next year, which is where this feeling of being overwhelmed really hit me the hardest because, of course, during these lockdowns, restrictions are having a massive impact on the economy. It's in tatters. The one thing, apart from dissertation, that all final year students look forward to is beginning the search for their next steps after uni once they graduate, whether it be a master's or a grad job or whatever it is. That is what you come to your final year expecting to do, and that simply just didn't happen for me. And it comes back to that feeling of, where is the hope for the future? What is the point in all of this stuff? Which is why a couple of weeks ago, when the first news about potential vaccine came along, I immediately noticed a massive shift in my approach to this whole thing. All of a sudden, for the first time this year, we actually had good news, right? This is like amazing, the most amazing news we've had so far this year. And it gave me some hope for the future. There is light at the end of the tunnel. All these days being stuck at uni, it will be worth it in the end. Even if things aren't the same as they were in 2019, they will definitely get better. And so, as I bring this discussion back to uni in general, this is why I feel sorry for the first years. They're really who I feel sorry for in all of this. Their impression of what university life is and should be has been completely tarnished forever. I'm willing to bet that this time next year, things will be back to normal, but I feel just so sorry for them because they've missed out on their Freshers' Week. They've missed out on the chance to make long-lasting friendships or going on nights out, building those initial bonds. And don't even begin to mention the whole A-level fiasco from this summer, because that'll just set me off completely, quite frankly. But with all that in mind, I'm lucky enough to have had the proper uni experience in my first 2 years, and that is why I'm determined to make the most of my final year. I think I've regained my mojo and I can now embrace all of the challenges that come with it and hopefully graduate with a top degree. All we can do now is ensure that we keep safe, follow the guidance, and just make the most of this situation. Anyway, I've been talking for way too long, so let me just conclude by giving you some advice for dealing with this sense of being overwhelmed. My number one tip, by far, take a walk every day. Rain or shine, cold or hot, 15 to 30 minutes does wonders to your well-being. Just 15 to 30 minutes, walk around your block, find a park somewhere. It is the most amazing thing for your brain. Also, for students, how you're always told, you have to focus all of your energy on your degree, you have to do all-nighters, you have to read every single page of every single book to get the best grades. It's all nonsense. A good work-life balance is what's critical for success, especially in all these lockdowns. You've got to keep yourself entertained. Do not just sit at home reading all the time. I don't think any rational student would do that anyway. Hopefully not. But, just keep focused. Yes, do work, but also take some time out. And overall, just try and maintain positivity, positive attitude, positive thinking. It's been a very, very tough term, but Christmas is around the corner. Time to unwind, time to spend time with the family, and hopefully 2021 will bring more joy and success.